Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. Today I have another top 5-star recommendations video for you today. So I think this is my fourth. So I've done one on 5-star historical fiction recommendations, 5-star literary fiction recommendations, and 5-star forgotten favorites. And then this one is 5-star page turners. So we'll say it's more top tier page turners because I think some of these have actually rated 4 stars, but that's getting pedantic. So yeah, 5 top tier page turners for you today. I believe, I'm just looking at my notes below, I think I'm covering each recommendation is a different genre. I have a mix of authors in terms of gender, although mostly women. And one of them I don't know where it's set, but otherwise a mix of different countries as well. So yes, let's get into it. So these are page turners. By page turners, I mean books that you can't put down. That doesn't matter what genre it is, you're so engrossed in it that you just want to keep turning the pages, right? So yes, let's just get started. So the first out of the 5 is a contemporary work, and this is American Dirt by Jeanine Cummins. And I mentioned this book on my top books of 2023 video. And I gave it 5 stars. That's why I was in that video. And I would describe this one as I just couldn't put it down. So this is about a mother and son who live in Mexico, and they become refugees fleeing the Mexican cartel. And the book is basically about their journey through Mexico to try and get to the US border. And it is quite the journey. So yeah, the reason why I just couldn't put this down is because I was just so transfixed on I don't want to say like whether they'll make it or not, but just the difficulties that they experienced along the way. A good part of the journey they were on, I think it was called La Bestia. So it was basically they would be sitting on top of freight trains traveling to try and like travel the railway up to the US border. And yeah, it was quite the journey. So as in my previous videos, I wanted to give 3 sort of descriptors for this one so you can get a sense of the tone of the book. So for American Dirt, I chose heart-wrenching, political, and Odyssey. So if we start with Odyssey, I think that's fairly obvious that it's basically about their journey. So it's a very like, it's an Odyssey. Heart-wrenching, well, because there's lots of heart-wrenching moments in it, and political because it really does look at the politics of both Mexico, but also the political situation at the US border in terms of migration. So yeah, American Dirt by Jeanine Cummins, actually also political, because after I read this, I realized that Jeanine Cummins had sort of a mixed reception of this book because she herself is not Mexican or Latina, and so I think there's some frustration or I guess there was some confusion about why a non-Latina or Latinx person was writing about that perspective of a Mexican migrant. But in any case, I thought she did a good job, even if it wasn't sort of own voices. And it was definitely a page turner. So if you're looking for a contemporary option, then I would recommend American Dirt. Have you read American Dirt? If so, let me know below. Second pick is a crime or detective option for you. And this is called Outback by Patricia Wolfe, and it's the first one in a new detective series. So as the name suggests, Outback, it's set in the Australian Outback. And I described this one as good pace. So this is about D.S. Walker, and so he's a new detective. I think I think he was from either Sydney or the Gold Coast, and then he ends up having to go home for family related things, and home is in the middle of the outback, and then there's an investigation that he ends up being involved in. And so it was basically about the disappearance of some backpackers that were both from, where were they from? I think they were both from Germany, maybe, somewhere in Europe in any case. And I just thought that this was such an interesting detective series. So much so that I ended up reading Paradise, which was the second one. And then so for thinking of the 3 descriptor words for Outback, I said introductory because it's introducing the character of D.S. Walker, and it did an excellent job doing that. Gripping, it was very gripping. And atmospheric. The thing that I remember the most about Outback is actually the scene setting. And just how much the backpackers would have struggled in the heat, the challenges of doing the investigative work in this like isolated area, the adversity that the community experiences because they're in such a desolate part of the world. So yes, very atmospheric. So if you like crime or detective novels, then I would very much recommend you trying out Outback by Patricia Wolfe. I'm certainly looking forward to reading number 3, which I think is out, I just haven't got to yet. Right, so for number 3, and this is how confident I am that it's a page turner. I'm not, as at the time of me filming this, I'm 80% through this audiobook and I'm still including it in a top 5 video. And so this is The Maid by Nita Prose, and the audio is very frustratingly right now, the ice cream truck is outside my window, so if I have to awkwardly pause periodically, it's because the ice cream song keeps playing every 20 seconds, but let's see how much I can get done before the song comes back on. So yes, The Maid by Nita Prose. I'm almost done this. I basically binged most of the audio in 2 nights, and I say nights because I couldn't sleep, so I was listening to it like in the middle of the night. The Maid is about a maid, so her name is Molly, and she works at a very fancy hotel. She's a very interesting character. So the whole idea of her character is that she struggles with social cues and social communication. It doesn't explicitly say it, but I would assume that she might be on the autistic spectrum. But in any case, she's presented as sort of like gullible or vulnerable, in that she has a very set way of doing things and is very trusting to people, but there is a bit of a twist, at least at the point that I've got to in the story. And so this, I don't know if I mentioned, but this is a mystery pick. So it's a mystery about a hotel guest who dies. And I won't say any more than that, but the character reminds me a lot of Eleanor Oliphant, which was also one of my favorite books. But just, yeah, presenting a, again, I'm making an assumption, but I think Molly is meant to be a neurodivergent character. And I really like how she was presented, that just some people, many people in the world just communicate differently, and that it doesn't mean that they're weird, it's just that that's how they communicate. And this book was just so entertaining. Definitely want to read the next one, which I think is something about a mystery writer, mystery guest maybe. Anyway, so if you're looking for a page turner or whatever the equivalent audio version would be, then I would very much recommend either reading or listening to The Maid by Nita Prose. And I just realized that I didn't pick descriptors for The Maid. I can't really think of any off the top of my head, but I think we're just going to go with one, and I'm going to say surprising. It was a surprisingly enjoyable read. It was a surprising twist, and it was a surprising approach to a character. Let's go with that. Right, okay, so we've got 2 more in this top 5. So number 4, and I should say these aren't in any like hierarchy order, they're just random. But the next is a sci-fi pick. So for all my sci-fi fans out there, this one, if you probably already read it, but if you haven't, I would recommend Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. And this was such a mind-boggling book. It's basically about a physics lecturer named Jason who ends up time traveling in like different multiverses. It's so out there, but it was really enjoyable, and it was a page turner. I just had to know what happened to Jason. And the thing that made it even more of a page turner is because you're dealing with the quantum theory and the multiverse element, well, each section of the book is completely different because he's jumping from one sort of reality to the next, right? And so I did include 3 descriptor words for Dark Matter, and I would say it's suspenseful, fate or fateful, and physics, because it's all about quantum theory and quantum physics. So yes, have you read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, or any of Blake Crouch's other books? Because I've only read this one and I'm very keen to get to more. So if you are a fan of Blake Crouch, what other books would you recommend? Yes, great sci-fi option for if you're looking for a page turner. And last but not least, we've got a thriller pick. So this is Girl A by Abigail Dean. And I read this a few years ago, but I thought about it constantly when I read it, and I still think about it now. So it's basically about a woman who, as a child, escaped from her parents' home, which was an incredibly abusive situation, basically like held captive in this home. And she also managed to free her siblings. And then you're looking at sort of retrospectively these adult siblings, their relationships together, and then sort of going back and remembering this like house of horrors, and how they are the like anonymized children from that experience that was all over the news. And just sort of, I guess it's just an account of processing past trauma, but in a very mysterious and captivating way. And so I would say also that this book is more so, even though it's about, like, it's called Girl A, I thought that it was actually more plot focused than character focused. Again, it was a few years ago that I read it, but I enjoyed that it did emphasize a plot element in any case. And then for the 3 descriptor words, I put horrific, because indeed what happened to them was horrific. Enthralling, it's a page turner, I couldn't put it down, it was enthralling. And psychological, it's very much psychological thriller, because it's not happening in the moment, it's a retrospective of you find out what had happened to Girl A and her siblings. So yeah, those are the 5s. We had American Dirt by Jeanine Cummins, Outback by Patricia Wolf, The Maid by Nita Prose, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and Girl A by Abigail Dean. So if you are looking for a page turner, then I think those cover many bases, unless you're, wanting romance. I haven't really included that, but I think this is a good place to start for a top 5 top tier page turners. So yeah, again, if you read any of these, let me know your thoughts below. And also, I'm always looking for new recommendations. So what are your top tier page turners that I should get to, and that everybody in the comments section should get to? Yeah, so that just leaves me to say that I hope you're doing well. I hope you are enjoying whatever it is you're reading. I hope it's a page turner. And I will see you soon-ish in a new video. Take care. Bye.